Okay, that's what we like to see at the start of a video. Today is a little bit different. I'm super excited about this video because I'm getting to compare this new ball from Ebonite to one of my favorites, which is the IQ Tour Emerald. Yes, it's not new maybe to you or to the Ebonite family, but it is the newest Fireball that they've come out with, which is a pearl ball. It's one of those like mid-range pearl balls. It's not gonna be the most hooking ball. It's also not gonna be the lowest end ball. And for me, these are the type of equipment I typically use, actually, especially in a house shop. We're just going on a house shop today. We're comparing it to my favorite oldie right here. And today is a cool comparison too, because both are very fresh. I just drilled them today. They both have the same amount of shots on them, just getting warmed up and making sure they feel good. So this is a very cool comparison because I will get to see freshly drilled my favorite ball to freshly drilled the new Ebonite Fireball. We're gonna do what I typically do, where I'm just gonna keep throwing the Fireball until I do not strike anymore. And then we'll go and see how it compares to the Emerald. So I tug that in. From the shots I've seen, seeing very similar shapes between the Emerald and the Fireball. The only difference between these two is the differential is a little bit lower on the Emerald. For me, it doesn't make, to me, that big a difference, especially when I'm typically throwing this bowling ball. There's so much friction on the lane. It's just where I'm trying to see the ball shape and trying to get it through the pins. So for me, that little bit of difference in differential so far hasn't seemed to be a huge difference. Sent that a little right. Okay, yeah, I didn't quite hit that one, but that was still good. So now I will throw the Emerald in the same spot and see what we get after I pick up the spare. Good. You know what? I was just about to compliment the fact that I just drilled a new spare ball too, but we don't want to make her look bad. That was all me. I'm about a week from tour, so I'm still working on stuff. This is one of those practices where I'm coming in and really fine-tuning what I can actually fix and am capable of maintaining as I go into tour. Not trying to do anything crazy, but I am working on my shoulder and how long I keep it in front of me to make sure that my swing stays underneath my chin. As you can see on that spare, it didn't, but I am excited to get a new spare ball. That's always fun too. So again, we're gonna stand in the same spot I just stood with the Fireball. I tug that in. That's what I love about bowling balls like this, okay? I really tugged it in, didn't throw a good shot, and it still held and had the energy. For me, this is why the equipment in this range is good for me, is because with my speed, if I throw it right, it's not gonna overreact and just check on me or lose energy. It'll still typically get there and give me at least 9. And then when I tug it in, it's still gonna hold and still be strong enough for me to still carry. So this one, we're really gonna try to get right. I don't wanna show you guys all the bad shots today. There we go. So as you can see, this type of equipment is just really good for controlling the lane, where you still need something to dig through the oil, but you still need something that's not going to be crazy in the friction. So I'm still loving my Emerald, obviously. As I said, my Fireball seems to be pretty close from the games and stuff I've thrown with it. The only difference I do see out of box, this one does have a little less shine. Now this is an older ball. Let's see, this is from 2020, so this is obviously older polish and stuff that Storm used to use, but this does not seem as high gloss, so it could make it read a little bit sooner and not have as much skid just because of that. I've been standing in the same spot and they've been pretty similar. I just 9-pin on a good shot, so I'm still gonna move as if I was throwing the Emerald. Move a little left. That was pretty good. As you can see, pretty similar to the Emerald, so that makes me a happy girl. I definitely will like to have a second option when I feel like maybe my Emerald's not exactly what I want to throw. So with that lower differential, I might now have different options. When I'm navigating through transition in sport patterns, this will be good to have 2 options, especially on tour. You can't really get lost. You have to be able to strike and stay in the pocket. So the last shot was still a little high, even though I did tug it in a tiny bit, but I'm still gonna move a little bit further left so we can test the limits of this. There we go. Still got there. That's good. It does seem, we're gonna throw the emerald in that same spot. That shot did seem a little bit not as sharp off the end of the pattern compared to what I think my emerald will do. So we're gonna pick the spare up and we're gonna throw the emerald in the same spot because I did like that shot and I felt like it should have dug a little bit more. We're gonna see here in a second. I could be wrong. Good thing this isn't a spare tutorial today. I do think it is a real thing when you get a spare ball, your lines change a tiny bit because you don't have a track built into the spare ball, so it does skid a little bit more than the one I've had for the last 3 years, so it has a built-in track. So I will have to adjust to that a little bit, which is good. We want it to go straight. We don't want it to hook. We're gonna make that same move I just did. Yeah, so that's actually exactly what I was talking about. It has a little bit more length versus mid-lane than the Fireball. So right there, I'm testing the limits of this. This is very fresh house shot. I haven't had anyone help break it down. Just been kind of throwing shots up 10, so I haven't even went to that space, but that's what we want to see. That ball should go long like that for me and not hook. Again, this is the type of ball I like to throw when there's a lot of friction on a house shot where my ball reads really early. Ooh. Okay, so I moved too much. We're gonna go back a little bit. I moved about 3 boards trying to test the limits of that, of where I'm at right now. So we're gonna move back off of the 9 pin and just not try to throw it as far to the friction. There we go. Pretty good. We're gonna try to do that same thing. We're gonna throw the Fireball pretty far right like that. From what I've seen, it's probably gonna read a tiny bit earlier, just a tiny bit. It's gonna be a little bit smoother versus sharp off the back end, but it should still get to the pocket. Now, you might be thinking, where is this gonna fit in my arsenal? This is gonna be when you have like your weakest ball. This is gonna be like that step above that, but also like when you're coming down from a solid, especially on a house shot. If you're throwing like a solid and you can't carry, but you also don't wanna have to move like extremely far left, this is probably when you're gonna be throwing that ball, especially for lower rev rate or even someone who throws it harder or someone who's not trying to hook the whole lane. You would still probably be using this between like 15 to 5, you know, pretty close to the track area is when I would be throwing this ball, or someone just in a typical league. Now, so you're someone with a higher rev rate, you're probably gonna be able to hook the whole lane with this if you roll in a lot of friction. So, as you can see, still got there, a little bit smoother. A little bit smoother down lane when it hits the friction. Now we did talk about that differential. That could be very well the reason why. Could be the surface. Could be just because Emerald's my favorite ball, so every time I throw it a little bit better. But in general, like I said, this is gonna give me 2 options between the Emerald and the Fireball where I'm navigating the friction on a pattern. I'm really gonna try to throw this one right and see if it overhooks or if it doesn't hook at all. So that's pretty much what I expected. It got there, it read a little bit before those rangefinders down lane, which is about where the break point's gonna be on a house shot. So like I said, it just doesn't have as much skid down the lane as the Emerald does. Again, very good. And that's where I would probably play with that ball. Right there in the track area. Not super steep angles through the front part of the lane unless it calls for it. But overall, I do really like this ball and it will be in my arsenal going on tour. We shot 214, even with the missed spare, which is good. Like I say on this channel, 9 is always good. So what I'm gonna do is, now that we're done with this game, I'm just gonna throw a couple shots back in that same area where I'm just gonna try to throw it slower and get a little bit more axis rotation and see if I can actually get it to come up the hill. There we go. So it still gets there. That's not necessarily my B or C game, but I can do it. Obviously, when you bowl, you want to use the game that's the most comfortable, the one you don't necessarily have to think about. Like I said, if I really needed to get left with this, obviously now you see I can. We're gonna do the same thing with Fireball. So I'm standing where I left that bucket type combination and where both balls didn't really get around the corner. Pretty good. Yeah, cool. As you can see, very versatile. Definitely those benchmark pieces in a pearl. Again, as you did see on this last shot with the Fireball, just not as sharp, but it still continued the same. And throw another shot. I'm gonna move like another 2. Same thing, trying to get around it, throw it slower. Okay, got there. Let's do that same thing with the emerald, see if it gets there. Now, this video is not for that, but as you can see, there's so many ways to manipulate a bowling ball. There's so many things you can do to get the ball to strike. So it's obviously very important to be able to do different things. Even if you're bowling in league, I find myself having to play my C game bowling on a half shot because we're not really just playing the lanes, we're playing what the pins want. So if the pins are asking me to throw it slower, then I gotta throw it slower to strike. So obviously getting into this area, I have to throw it so different than what I'm used to. But as you can see, I can still strike. So it's not the ball, it's just about being able to create what the lane is asking you to do. There we go. Cool. So it's still maintaining energy. I'm probably, let's see, I'm about 10 boards deeper than I was when I started. I was on 20, sliding around 30 now. So as you can see, huge range where we can throw these types of bowling balls. So we'll just keep going back and forth until I miss. Same area. I threw that faster. You can see how just that little bit of speed made a huge difference in the fact that the ball didn't read. So got lucky, got it there, but it was very close to leaving a 10 pin. I'm not moving, I'm just staying in the same spot. I pretty much know if I move any further left right now, I will be in 2-pin territory, 2-8-10. We don't want that. Oh, that was not that great. But it's the emerald, so it's gonna strike. So, we're talking about speed right now, and you see the difference, what I'm having to do. The pros at the highest level, I would say, are able to change their speeds probably like a mile per hour. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but just being able to change your speed like 0.2 is a lot, even at the middle level or the highest level. Not many people are very good at changing their speed a mile per hour difference. I would say mine, if I'm really trying, I could probably do, but I do have like a big range because I throw it so slow. I can probably get up to a mile an hour, but it's, can I do it consistently? So if you ever feel like you're trapped and you don't carry, or you know your roll is getting better, work on speed, because speed is definitely something that can help you strike more, get 9 more, if you're able to vary it. Speed plays a crucial part of what the bowling ball is trying to do. I spun that one. Is it gonna get there? Got there. I spun it. I deserve that. That one was more like tilt. If we're talking about tilt, it's getting down the lane further. I didn't quite get it to the friction. I deserve that. I need redemption on this spare anyway, so. I do want to point out, I really think I left that, and this is something to notice. I am practicing. I'm trying to show you guys this equipment, but I did throw that bad because I stopped thinking about what I was thinking about. So I was just trying to naturally get into a rhythm, and it's not really working for me right now because I am working on something. So if I had probably thought about what I was working on, that probably wouldn't have happened where my toe got super high. I definitely wasn't thinking through my process as well in that shot. So I'm glad that I got 9. That was pretty good. If I missed this, I'm blaming my cameraman because he needed a drink of water. So I had to just sit for 5 minutes. It was close. I rolled that, it should, yeah, there we go. That was good. That was a little bit forward, more forward roll. I didn't quite hit it as much, but because of that forward roll, it picked up a little bit sooner. Then went towards the head pin when I hit the friction. We got 268 out there right now. We're gonna see if we can get it done. Whoop. That was awful. My elbow was out on that one. The Fireball is Elise approved. If you haven't already thrown one or already drilled one, it definitely is very good. And I am excited to bring it out on tour and have it in my arsenal. So if you haven't already, when it comes out later this month, already didn't know what this bowling ball or you did, and you want a new colored one, go ahead and check this ball out. It'll be out later this month. And thank you guys for watching. And the next time you will see me do some exciting things, I'll be out on tour. So I look forward to all of you guys joining me out on tour. Super excited. Hopefully my back holds up. We'll see you on the next one. So if you're in the Florida area and you haven't already checked out the Maple Lanes Family Centers here in Lakeland or in Clearwater, they also have one in New York. You can go ahead and check out their website and you can see all of the great places that they have bowling. Not too many proprietors care, and they give back to DVL and the veterans. So definitely check out their centers if you love bowling. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to be here and give this great content to you guys.